Right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Car thieves caught on camera.
I just don't want my property to be destroyed.
A South City mother fed up after falling victim once again.
Mild versus wild. After last week's wild winter ride, more settled, milder weather has returned. How long of a break we get from the cold before the pattern shifts again?
No dice. A former deputy ups the ante in his battle with the St. Louis sheriff.
I want to set the record straight.
That former deputy forced to roll a pair of dice to decide his fate is now suing Sheriff Alfred Montgomery for defamation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. The lawsuit is in response to the sheriff's social media post this weekend. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski is live downtown with new developments tonight in this bizarre battle. Laura.
Mike and Kelly, former Deputy Tony Kirchner told me today that this latest statement from Sheriff Alfred Montgomery is an attack on his character and includes several false statements leading to this lawsuit. A meeting to discuss a leave of absence turned into a conversation about St. Louis Sheriff's Deputy Tony Kirchner's future at the sheriff's office. Sheriff Alfred Montgomery claims Kirchner campaigned in uniform, which is against state law. Kirchner denies those accusations but was still fired. He released a secret recording last week of the conversation where Montgomery asks him to roll gold dice to decide his fate.
7. All right. Give him whatever lead time he needs. We'll go from there.
At first, Montgomery publicly denied the dice roll happened, but then in two separate, slightly different statements on Saturday, Montgomery called the dice roll a de-escalation tactic. Quote, while unconventional, this gesture aimed to empower him in a situation where he felt powerless, rather than reducing it to mere chance. In a statement on Nextdoor, Montgomery said Kirchner was showing signs of emotional distress and, quote, recognizing the potential for an unstable reaction, especially given that he was armed, I knew I had to handle the situation with utmost care. Were you at all emotionally distressed or threatening him or?
Right, and that's why I released the entire audio of that entire conversation where you could see I'm calm, cool, collective. So to put me in that type of light and make those kind of claims, it was very off-putting, and I'm very upset about that.
Which led to this defamation lawsuit filed Monday against Montgomery, pointing to 6 false statements in both posts.
We are not going to sit by and let him say these things. He is, yes, an elected sheriff of this city, but he is also an individual who has to be held accountable for his actions.
Attorney Brandy Barth says Montgomery should be investigated.
Something has gone very wrong, and as myself, a city resident, I am not confident that this is the person who should be leading any department in this city.
I reached out to Montgomery again this afternoon and did not hear back. Reporting live downtown, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
Tonight, a St. Charles West High School student faces weapons charges accused of bringing a loaded assault rifle on campus. Police say the firearm was found in the back seat of the 18-year-old's car this morning. It was loaded with 20 rounds. In a letter to parents tonight, officials with the St. Charles School District said, quote, while there was no threat to students or staff, it is understandably alarming that a student brought a firearm onto school grounds. Safety remains the district's top priority.
Just hours ago, a St. Louis jury found a man guilty in connection with multiple murders in federal court. 38-year-old Anthony Jordan was convicted on drug trafficking and other charges connected to the murders of 9 people between 2008 and 2014. Court documents say Jordan was targeting members of a rival drug gang, and multiple bystanders were killed in the crossfire. Jordan is set to be sentenced in May.
New reaction tonight following a racially motivated attack inside a Dearborn store in Creve Coeur.
As 5 on your side's Brent Solomon explains, one group is calling on federal authorities to take action.
An out-of-mind experience for a customer who showed up to the Dearbergs in Creve Coeur, only to be attacked while shopping. Police say Sean Singer walked by another man, cursing, telling him to, quote, go back to your country. The customer told police the suspect raised his fist and swung at him, repeatedly hitting him in the face and upper body. When police showed up, they say the suspect told them, quote, I'm next, expletive, going to China to take them down because they were part of the COVID vaccine virus. St. Louis County Police charged Singer with assault motivated by discrimination. The Council on American Islamic Relations wants to see more.
The local police have brought some type of bias charge in the case, and we welcome that. But we'd like to see federal authorities also intervene to send the message that this kind of incident will not be tolerated.
Police say the suspect also told them people from other countries are, quote, taking jobs away from us. Foreigners are taking over, end quote.
We're actually doing the opposite. We're creating jobs and creating opportunities.
Jeff Wade with the Asian American Chamber of Commerce wants this to be a teachable moment to create unity.
We need to all come together to really, change the narrative on St. Louis. I want to be able to leave St. Louis and visit a city and hear positive things about what we're doing.
Those who feel they're being targeted because of hate should know there are resources available in our community, including the Missouri Asian American Youth Foundation and the OCA Asian Pacific American Advocates, to name a few. I've placed that info for you on KSDK.com. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
A representative from Dearborn says they aren't able to confirm whether Singer was a regular customer. He's due in court next month. Tonight, a St. Louis County massage therapist is behind bars facing sexual abuse and sodomy charges. Police arrested 31-year-old Caleb Israel Isaiah Holmes this morning. 2 women claim he touched them inappropriately in September and October at Massage Lux in Shrewsbury. Officers say it was hard to find Holmes because he kept moving around. Investigators are now asking any more victims to come forward.
The more that people out there see victims standing up and speaking their truth and using their voice, it empowers other people who've been through similar situations to realize that their voice matters. Once a victim discloses, they are no longer anyone's victim, and that's where they gain their power back. Anyone who has a similar incident with Holmes is asked to call Shrewsbury Police. That number is 314-647-5656. Tonight, the investigation into a suspected serial rapist in West St. Louis County has expanded to 4 other states. Yahya Malley is accused of raping and kidnapping 5 women he met on dating apps. Investigators believe there are more victims. They're now looking into the cities where the Baldwin man lived or visited in the last 12 years. This includes Henrico County, Virginia, Chicago, Illinois, Tucson, Arizona, and Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Malley remains in the St. Louis County Jail tonight. He is being held on $500,000 cash-only bond. New at 10, a car break-in caught on camera early this morning in South City. And the homeowner says this isn't the first time. New tonight, Annie Krall spoke to police about what you should do if your car is targeted. Annie?
Kelly, it was a smashed driver's side window that gave thieves the access to rifle through a young man's locked car in the Gate District. His mom didn't want to go on camera, but shared her frustrations.
Just after 12 a.m. Monday, you can see 2 people walk up to a car on Rutgers Street with this Ring camera footage. The door swinging open as the homeowner says the thieves broke her son's car window.
They've taken his work jackets, whatever he has in there, cigarette lighters, I don't know, you name it. They just invade your privacy.
The woman says it's also happened to her daughter's car outside the house, right in front of the Ring cameras.
It definitely impacts my decision to park my car out there. Thankfully, I have the option to park in my garage, but with it being just a single family car garage, we can't put every car back there without inconveniencing everybody trying to figure out, who can leave and where.
But the mother of 3 says she didn't call St. Louis Metro Police after the break-in Monday in the 2900 block of Rucker to file a report.
We have no documented reports that I can find of you responding to that house. And that's something that I've already spoken with the district captain on, and she is just as concerned as you are that this person is saying that these crimes keep being committed.
In fact, the only car break-in call Mitch McCoy with St. Louis Metro Police say they have on record from Rutgers Street recently is at a different house.
It is so important when your car is broken into, you need to call 911. If it takes a little bit for an officer to get there, then it takes a little bit for an officer to get there, but we have to make sure that it's documented.
Police say they can't allocate resources or actionable patrol decisions to the best of their ability if crimes aren't reported.
And that homeowner tells us that she's lived in the Gate District neighborhood for 15 years.
Tonight, we're hearing from the St. Louis School District's new bus vendor, which is promising students a safer and more reliable ride to school. Zoom Transportation will take over more than 200 routes throughout the district this fall. The company offers a fleet of electric and air-conditioned buses that parents can track using Zoom's mobile app. Zoom CEO says its operation was built around trying to help working families.
When parents are at work and the transportation doesn't work, everything falls apart. It is one of those things that has to work reliably, consistently, every single day for parents to be able to do what they need to do. And that was the ethos behind it.
The district's deal with Zoom came in at around $30 million, but the goal is actually to save money by using a sole vendor instead of the 19 currently used. A live look at Washington, D.C. Tonight, the clock is ticking for 2 million federal workers whose jobs could be on the line.
They now have less than an hour to respond to Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiencies demanding 5 bullet points to justify their jobs. Several of President Trump's appointees who run federal agencies have told their workers not to respond. Musk sent out a second ultimatum tonight on his X platform saying those workers will be given a second chance to respond, but failure will result in their firing. Some Republican lawmakers are facing backlash back in their districts from voters frustrated over the federal layoffs, including Missouri Congressman Mark Alford of Kansas City.
Government employees are going to be let go, and that's just the reality of it. And I feel bad that people have been laid off. I truly do.
Democrats who don't have enough votes in Congress to fight back are relying on the courts to intervene. Right now, all bets are off on how soon sports betting will be implemented in Missouri. Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins declined to classify licensing rules as an emergency. The Gaming Commission says if they were allowed, then betting would have started as early as June. The group went on to say it's committed to launching no later than the December 1st deadline.
Tonight, the Vatican is telling us Pope Francis is showing signs of slight improvement. The Pope has been hospitalized and battling pneumonia since Friday. Officials say he is still in critical condition, but is now mobile, eating normally, and working. We're also told there are no longer concerns of kidney failure. Earlier today, a massive prayer service was held in his birthplace, Buenos Aires.
Deadly delays when seconds count.
He tried to call the second it happened.
Tonight, the heartbreaking lawsuit revealing the results of a never-before-seen survey on the city's emergency response.
I think it's embarrassing.
We're making progress.
Flying the smoky skies.
Breathe through your clothes, Nana.
The latest mid-air incident adding to the anxiety of flyers.
The anxiety due to winter weather has finally dropped to a 7-week low. The impacts a cold front has for St. Louis on Wednesday and why wintry precipitation looks to be scarce in the near future.
Tonight, Only 5 on Your Side has the results from a public safety survey asking St. Louis City voters how they feel about emergency response times. It comes 5 months after the city offered $25 gift cards to respondents.
Officials have still not shared those results, but our political editor Mark Maxwell got his hands on them. He talked with an attorney at the center of a heartbreaking lawsuit who suspects the city doesn't want the public to know what they found.
2 years ago last month,
He tried to call the second it happened.
Ashley Schelsing became a widow.
Ashley tried to call 911.
In a lawsuit filed against Mayor Tashara Jones, her lawyers write 911 failed to answer the calls after an accidental gunshot, and Richard Schlesing bled to death. Her lawyer says City Hall is stonewalling, blocking them from seeing evidence in discovery.
The deadlines have passed.
What were you looking for?
We're looking for information about the 911 system.
Through a separate open records request filed under Missouri's Sunshine Act, 5 on Your Side obtained records showing the results of a public safety survey the mayor's office commissioned late last year. The survey found 58% of city residents called 911 in the last year. Only 43% were satisfied with how long it took for someone to show up, and 22% said no one showed up at all.
I think it's embarrassing. I mean, it's how disappointing it must be to know that there's that much failure.
We're making progress.
Mayor Jones says 911 dispatchers are getting faster at answering calls within the first 10 seconds.
But that's just the first interaction. So isn't there a problem beyond just who picks up the phone and how quickly?
The police are not always the right response to a lot of the calls that we receive in our 911 center. Now you have a answering service that says which one do you want, and you self-select, and then we pick up there.
Well, it can't work if I have to listen to a voicemail.
That automated answering service faced a significant test in early February this year when a young basketball player was knocked unconscious and showed signs of a seizure after a hard collision to the head.
I immediately dialed 911 and it went to a voicemail. I said, oh my gosh, what did I do? I hung up thinking I did something wrong, dialed 911 again.
Eventually, parents loaded the injured teen into a personal vehicle and took him to the hospital on their own.
By the time I got back, it was just complete aggravation. People couldn't believe that they called 911 and they went to a voicemail. People were unhappy, very unhappy.
Reporting in St. Louis, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
We are told that young basketball player recovered. The city is scheduled to go on trial in the death of Richard Schlesing on April 7th, the day before the general election.
Tonight, the NTSB is investigating a natural gas explosion caught on camera. Firefighters in Hutchinson, Kansas were called to the downtown area after people complained about a strong odor of gas. They were able to get the owner of a sporting goods store out of his business just 20 seconds before that blast. No one was hurt. Firefighters in Branson say a natural gas leak is to blame for an explosion at a hotel. This morning's blast happened just minutes after crews arrived for a ruptured gas line outside the Spark by Hilton on the Shepherd of the Hills Expressway. One employee suffered minor injuries. No guests were hurt.
Breathe through your clothes, Nana.
Shocking video tonight of a Delta flight filling with smoke while it was in midair. This all happened this morning, just moments after takeoff on a flight from Atlanta to Columbia, South Carolina. Delta says close to 100 people were on board. Everyone was evacuated after the plane made an emergency landing back in Atlanta. Passengers say this incident is adding to a national anxiety over flying.
It's not worth the risk, not with everything that's been going on. And then they just take it so light. They don't really seem like they care.
Delta says it's investigating the cause of the haze. On Saturday, another Delta flight was forced to make an emergency landing in Los Angeles after detecting smoke on board.
Must-see video tonight out of Colorado. An avalanche briefly trapped 3 people yesterday. This comes after a person died in the same area from an avalanche on Saturday. Right now, it's believed a snowmobile caused the collapse.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is here with the weather impact forecast. What a lovely day today. Nice and warmish.
All we need now is a little more sunshine.
Yes.
That's what we need, Scott.
Is that possible, Scott?
It was a nice sunset this evening around St. Louis. In fact, looking out in Pacific, how about this from Christine? She shared this photo with us looking over downtown Pacific there. How gorgeous was that? Yes, we did have a fair amount of clouds around today, but you know what? We still were quite nice. Okay, just 5 days ago, morning low was 0, wind chill 16 below 0 Thursday morning. I mean, 5 days ago. And then today, I went too fast. Today, 66 for the high. So that feels like 82 degrees warmer than what it felt like on Thursday morning. I mean, it's quite a change. Now, most of us probably don't go below freezing for the rest of the week. Most of us, a few spots might. Chesterfield's one of those spots. So is Alton. We have some of the low spots in particular that tend to get a little bit colder. If you got a little bit of snow on the ground, you might run a little bit colder, but nothing like what we saw last week. 47 degrees right now at Lambert, 66 and 38, the high and low for today. 66 way above average. The average high is 49. Tonight, most of us are back into the 30s with the potential here as we head through the overnight hours of seeing, a little frost and a little patch or two where it actually drops below freezing. But this week, there's a few showers possible Wednesday. Temperatures are going to stay mild to only a few chilly nights. And yes, the ground is still pretty wet and still pretty muddy across the area. So muddy paw season has returned. All the active weather that amounts to much is basically out in the Pacific Northwest. And every system that comes through here over the next several days is pretty much a Pacific system. So we're not getting any real big time cool down. One exception may happen over the weekend. For tomorrow, outside of a few clouds, it's pretty quiet. Here we go on Wednesday. We'll be tracking a front into the north and west of St. Louis. That front doesn't arrive until later in the morning and more likely towards 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when we'll see some showers around St. Louis, pretty much on the light side. Most of us not even seeing 1/10 of an inch of rain as we head into Wednesday. As we go towards the weekend, again, the only thing we're watching is the colder weather that's up around the Great Lakes. That tries to send a little backdoor cold front our way as we go into the weekend, tries to deliver some slightly cooler air in our vicinity. We'll see how much of it gets here. Right now, we're thinking around 50 degrees here, give or take a couple of degrees for the high on Sunday. That's still so much better than what we had last week. You're looking at temperatures in the lower 60s tomorrow. Should be a bit brighter tomorrow than what we saw today. A few brief showers around on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, into the weekend, looking like dry weather for the weekend. Yes, cooler, but how about Friday? 67.
That sounds fantastic.
And cooler's
I
fine
mentioned
with
it
no
earlier.
snow.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
I mentioned it earlier, but that means Frank's going to be on the golf course, right, Frank?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be washing your car and you know it.
Yeah.
Could Jordan Binnington be on the block? Is Jordan Walker about to have a breakout year? And why are there more ties at soccer games than there are at TJ Maxx? Stick around, please.
Taking Flight, Card Spring Training, sponsored by Woods Basement Systems.
I'm not saying if Jordan Walker becomes a star, the Cardinals will be successful. But if he doesn't, it will be devastating. The Birds are not buying free agents anymore, so their homegrown talent has to succeed. Second inning against the Mets today, big Luken Baker does what he does best, sends it high and deep to left. When it comes down, it's a 3-run homer to give the Cardinals the lead. With the game tied in the 6th, Jordan Walker drills it fair past third and the go-ahead run. The Cardinals win at 7-4. Let's get some more insight on Jordan Spring.
He's had to grow up in front of everyone. I mean, he was a very young man when he first started with the Cardinals. He made the position change and continues to work on that. It's a situation where he has so much upside. And I'll ask you this question, Frank. I asked Ricky Horton and Jason Isringhausen today. Has there ever been a bigger everyday player to fill out a Cardinal uniform? Now, you think about the rosters over the years. Has there anyone become 6'6", 255, perhaps 260 pounds?
He is bigger than McGuire and Hayward. We will be the only TV station with boots on the ground every day of spring training. Cardinal broadcaster Mike Claiborne will be joining us with 5 in the dugout. The Blues have the Kraken tomorrow night. I don't know what is going to happen, but I will say this. There's more of a chance that the Blues trade Jordan Binnington than there is a chance of them making the playoffs, but both are long shots. With the trade deadline just 12 days away, there is speculation about a Binner deal. Jeremy Rutherford wrote about it today in The Athletic. His trade value has increased after what he did for Team Canada. The Blues have a good young goaltender too in Joel Hofer. Stay tuned. Vianney trying to drum up some rhythm against Burroughs. The Bombers have the Twin Towers. 6'10" Tristan Reed, he had 16 points tonight. Vianney has Luke Walsh, who's already had 2 50-point games. Tonight, he had 22. The other 6'10", Sheik Pearson with the block right there. And then Max Steinbach will hit a tray and Burroughs rolls 76-56. To Duchesne in a Class 5 district game, Chris Pitts Whitfield against Bob McCormick and Priory. Henry Hybe will drain a 3 for the Ravens, but the aptly named Dylan Player, because that's who he is, a player, will get to the rack. Whitfield advances 48-38. Finally tonight, a word about ties. Not the kind they sell at Sam Cavato's, but the kind that happens far too often in soccer. There likely won't be a person who's a soccer fanatic or who wears sambas and scars that will agree with what I'm going to say, but I'm speaking for the people. In Europe, it's a tradition. We get that. but this is America, and we're only traditionalist when it fits, and this doesn't fit. We sports people are a simple lot. At the end of a game, we want to know who won and who lost. Do you know that City SC has had draws 40% of the time in their last 35 games? So each team gets a point. Why don't we give each team a little trophy too, like they do in 4th grade CYC? When teams are tied in baseball, basketball, and football, they go to overtime. And in hockey, they do that, and a shootout also. And don't tell me they don't want to stress the soccer players by playing for so long. They basically play once a week and 34 times a year. That's 128 times less than a baseball player plays. Hey, I love City SC and Energizer Park, but give me a winner, give me a loser. And you know, I like ties too, just not in soccer. And that's frankly speaking for tonight.
It's a march down Market Street that draws thousands. Now everyone will be able to love this year's St. Patrick's Day Parade. We're less than 3 weeks away until the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown St. Louis, and this year everyone can enjoy the fun.
Certainly today, organizers announced they have partnered with Mind's Eye to offer audio descriptions of the parade for the visually impaired through the Live Voice app. They're also offering accessible viewing for veterans and those with disabilities in front of Soldiers Memorial. This year's parade is set for Saturday, March 15th at noon.
And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. A reminder that we're always streaming on 5+, which is free.
That's right. We hope you'll start your day with Today in St. Louis. That starts at 4 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.